In this section of the Baneful Magick video course, we'll be touching on the topic of baneful vampirism. First, let's touch on vampirism for a moment. Many people have misconceptions on the topic of vampirism. They believe it's a tool for the weak, a parasitic method to maintain the energy system that they themselves cannot control. Although this is quite incorrect, vampirism is merely a predatorial spiritual art in which one dominates another by battling through wills and siphoning the energy of another into themselves. This isn't parasitic, nor is it evil. This is a spiritual tool, and in a baneful setting, it becomes a devious weapon. The magician can vampirize his/hers target before any baneful working has even begun. This is actually a very powerful approach. As the target is vampirized and severely drained, they will become weaker and therefore easier to affect with baneful magic. It will also weaken their spiritual defenses, whether these defenses were the ones they were born with or spiritual protections on them. Either way, these shields will weaken. You are basically overthrowing the stone tower of the enemy's defenses, without which they are left in the open, vulnerable and more malleable to the baneful magic at hand. The black magician should understand that by draining specific energy centers or chakras, this will have actual effects on the target's health and life, basically starting on the offense before the curse is even performed. Let's dive into what will happen to the target if specific energy centers are drained to subtle and even critical degrees. The Throat Chakra. If this chakra is drained, it will lead to the target becoming unstable. It will make them obsessive, leads them to trust issues, causing dysfunction within relationships, and leads to loss of control. It also leads to them being ungrounded, causing anxiety. This can also help lead to binge eating or not eating enough. Targeting this chakra also leads to leg and feet problems, as well as gaining weight of the lower body. The sacral chakra. If this chakra is drained, it will lead to addictions such as food, gambling, sex, work, drugs, etc. It will emotionally harm them too. It will lead to sexual difficulties such as a low libido or a libido that becomes non-existent. It will also make them uncertain of things. It can cause reproductive problems such as infertility, impotence, and menstrual issues. It will also lead the target to suffer from fatigue. It can also lead the target to have repressed emotional issues. It can also cause a lack of creativity or will lead them to constantly overthink things. The physical ailments they may suffer from are lower back, kidney, and stomach problems. The solar plexus chakra. If this chakra is targeted, it can cause laziness and fatigue. It can also cause overeating and overindulgence, including the target suffering from weakness and powerlessness. It will lead them to insecurity and assertiveness. They will lack confidence and will lead them to constantly seek approval, including issues of lower self-esteem. It can also cause imbalances in the target's ego. It can cause issue with the body's temperature. It will also lead to issues such as IBS, ulcers, hypoglycemia, diabetes, etc. It will also lead to constipation, upset stomachs, and excessive weight gain in the stomach area. The Heart Chakra. If this chakra is targeted, it can cause the target to be disconnected to all things and everyone. It will leave the target withdrawn, leading to avoidance to socializing with people. It causes neediness in relationships, or makes them emotionally distant. It will leave them terrified of being alone. It may cause them to become a people pleaser. It can cause the target to hold grudges and find it difficult to forgive anyone or themselves. It can cause them to be bitter and aggressive. It also leads to anxiety, jealousy, and self-critical. It causes them to relive or rethink trauma, including a deep sense of fear. They'll assume the form of the victim. They will struggle to give or receive love. It will also lead them to mistrust and become suspicious of everything and everyone. This will also lead to other issues with the heart, lungs, or chest region, including asthma, high blood pressure, or poor blood circulation. The throat chakra. If this chakra is targeted, it will lead to the target finding it difficult to express emotions. They'll struggle verbalizing their thoughts and their feelings. It will lead to nervousness, verbal aggression, miscommunication, the sense of feeling constantly ignored or misunderstood. It leads them to keep secrets in fear of what others think of them. It leads to anxiousness, over-opinionated, struggling to voice their opinion, the inability to public speaking, and difficulty with being honest with themselves or to others. Their actions may go against their own words, and the physical side effects are swollen lymph nodes, voice cracks, leading them to suffer from hypo. It can cause other hearing issues and ear infections, including sinus, throat, or upper chest respiratory infections. The third eye chakra. If this chakra is targeted, it will lead to difficulties in matters of creativity and inspiration. The target will ignore their intuition, which leads them to become overly logical or overly emotional. They'll become lost in their own thoughts. They'll often daydream, causing them to slip away from this reality as a coping mechanism. They'll become egotistical or will lead them to become emotionally reactive. They'll become addicted to external things. It can lead to mental distortions. The target may become trivial or superficial. They may suddenly dislike everybody and even themselves. They'll become stubborn. They'll become close-minded. They may become as arrogant or over-opinionated. They'll become ungrounded. They may suffer from constant headaches and migraines. They'll become strongly attached to outcomes. They may lack focus and leads to decisiveness, including vision and sinus issues. They may suffer from delusions and can cause mental illness or complete and utter madness. The Crown Chakra. If this chakra is targeted, the target will suffer from apathy, lack of compassion, excessive ego, insomnia, nightmares, boredom with life, feeling alienated, narrow-mindedness, existential depression, spiritual disconnection, limiting identity, greed, lack of purpose or direction. It also causes mental fog and confusion, loneliness, chronic fatigue, headaches and migraines, light sensitivity, mental illness, delusions, schizophrenia, and so on, including neurological disorders. As we can see, targeting specific chakras leads to an array and variety of issues for your target. Yet you can also vampirize the auric field, making this spiritual guard less and less solid, leaving them wide open for other spiritual attacks. If the aura of the target becomes extremely dim and too close to the physical body, it can lead to severe issues and even death. There are 5 types of vampirisms that can be applied in this setting. The first type is touch. By touching someone, you can gain a rather intimate connection to them. Hands on them, we can visualize their energy Once entering into a receptive state, we can then overlap our aura with theirs. Once done feeling their energy, we can siphon in it. By breathing inwards and exhaling, we can take the toxicity in their energy and cycle it back into them. That's the very basics of it, at least. The other option is semi-distance vampirism. You can increase the size of your aura through breath if you expand it outwards, or even change the shape of it, which we can do, into something like tendrils, for example. You can reach targets right across the room, the building, or even the street. The other option is more magical, and this is gateway vampirism, using either a black mirror, black bowl filled with water, fire, or another scrying medium. We can, for example, meditate in front of it, activate one's own scrying vision, and through those gateways we can extend our energy or astral tendrils into the target's area. Even if we're across the world, visualizing them, holding a fetish item as an energetic signature, or just vibrating their name while visualizing them. These are all methods to gain a connection, a psychic connection, to the target through the scrying medium, through which we can then dig our astral claws into them and begin draining them. The other option is using a radionics box. You can place their photo, name, or fetish link on a trend plate of a radionic machine. You can then place a crystal, object, water, or even a picture of yourself on the target plate. Meditating on the intent of pulling their energy through the trend plate, then adjust the dials on the machine by rubbing one's finger on the stick pad. Once you feel a grab, or what's known as friction, on the stick plate with your finger, then that dial has been set, and you should move on to the next one. Then once all the dials are set, meditate on the box with the intent of using the machine to siphon and drain in your target through the trend plate and siphoning that energy into whatever is on the target plate. The last option is astral vampirism. By soul traveling, astral traveling, or out-of-body methods, we can go to the target. This is best done while they're asleep, and you can dig your astral claws into them and drain them that way, although this does take serious practice and dedication. Vampirism is not just a tool to weaken your target, but you can actually drain them critically and even filter that toxic energy and throw it back at them. Vampirism is surely a powerful tool in the baneful toolbox. And by draining someone severely and then pulling their toxicity into yourself or into another object, we can increase the toxicity and merge it with our own, and then actually infuse that back into the target so they have less energy but more toxicity than ever, including your own toxicity infused into them, leading them into a very unhealthy state. The vampire, in this case then, is not a weak, parasitic individual, but is a cunning, devious, and sneaky spiritual predator. Vampirism is a very basic form of spirituality, be it psychic vampirism, emotional vampirism, astral vampirism, whatever. I do recommend that if you are looking into Baneful Magick, look deeper into vampirism. Now you should be able to feel energy. If you can, that is great. Visualizing the energy of the target, also very vital. Being in control of one's own aura and one's own energy is also a vital thing. Overlapping your will and your aura with them, or being able to feel the auric field of yourself and then change the shape of that and solidify it through meditation into another shape entirely, such as a tendril or a talon, and then extend that to the target, and then through inhalations and visualizations and the feel of the energy, siphon their energy into your being, This is a basic way